What's up, world? This is Elevating Men. I'm your host, A.L. Johnson. I'm here with my brothers, and we are here for another great conversation. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want you to know, in case you don't, this is an interactive conversation. So it's not about you listening to us, it's about us having a conversation together. So make sure that you drop your comments in the comment section. We'll make sure that we get to those. Before we get the show started, I always like to introduce my brothers because I ain't here by myself. I know you see these fine gentlemen. And so right next to me, I got my brother LaRon Barnes. We call him L Beasy. We call him LaRon the Motivator. We call him a couple other things, but we'll leave that alone. How are you doing today?
Listen, I am doing wonderfully well. When I say I'm ready for this conversation today, I am ready for the conversation today, my brother.
Listen. For those of you that are starting to pop in, I want you to go ahead and share this. Share this with your network. We want as many people as possible to come in on this conversation because it's extremely important. Right below LaRon Barnes, we got the fit pastor, Mike Patton.
In
How
the
you
house,
doing,
baby,
bro?
in the house. I'm blessed, man. I thank God for being another day, being able to see the sun go around one more time. So
Yes,
I
sir.
praise
That's
him
it.
and I thank him. Yes, sir.
That's it. For those of you that don't know, this is streaming live on Facebook, on my page, as well as Elevating Men. It is also streaming live on YouTube. If you haven't already subscribed, I want you to go ahead and do that. There's going to be exclusive content coming to YouTube that you won't see here on Facebook. So make sure you subscribe, search Elevating Men on YouTube. Right below me, we got AB, Dinner and Dialogue, restin2050.org. He has a whole bunch of names. So he's doing, how you doing today?
Hey man, I'm doing wonderful, man. I'm always wonderful when I'm talking about my brothers.
Yes, that's what it's all about, brotherhood. And so, before we get started, Elevating Men is a 501c3 organization. Right? It is our mission to help men live happy, healthy, healed, and productive lives. We believe that strong men build strong families and strong families build strong communities. And so that's why we're here. All of the conversations that we have are centered around that concept. So no matter if we're talking about parenthood, if we're talking about relationships, if we're talking about fitness, it's all about making men better so that we can go back and be better for our families and in turn build a better community. And so before we get the conversation started, this one's going to be good, y'all. We are talking about sex culture. All right. Talking about sex culture. Is it damaging us? Is it hurting us? Is it liberating us? Is it making us better or worse? Those are the things we're going to be talking about today. But before we do that, there are a couple of announcements. And so first, oh man, so many things to share. I'm going to go to the men's conference. This is going to be coming up July 13th at the Oasis Church. And so first we want to go ahead and give a shout out to Pastor Brooks. Thank you so much for allowing us to use your church as a place to heal and grow. This is going to be an amazing event. It is 100% free. It starts at 8:30 a.m. There's going to be free breakfast. You don't need to bring a dime, just bring your appetite. There's also going to be health screening sponsored by Thimby Holistic Health. So you can get your blood pressure checked, your A1C checked. These things are extremely important in preventing serious health issues in the future. And so we allow you to do that free of charge. There's also going to be financial literacy provided by Bank Midwest. And so you'll be able to learn about credit, budgeting, how to purchase a home, how to refinance the loan on your car to get a lower interest rate and a lower payment. All of those things will be a part of the conversation. And in addition, we will have therapists on hand in case you need to schedule a therapy session to work through some of your traumas. We always talk about Black men healing. Go talk to a therapist. They're going to be right there waiting for you. Again, that is July 13th. You can RSVP by basically contacting any of the men on Elevating Men. We can go ahead and reserve your seat. There is limited seating, and so we want you to RSVP as soon as possible. In addition, this Friday, go ahead and mark your calendars. This Friday at 12:30 p.m., we will be on 1590 a.m. as well as 106.1 FM on Pastor Brooks' radio show, talking about this actual event and why we put it together. And so we want to make sure that you guys hear that. Again, that's going to be this Friday at 12:30 p.m. Guys, we got excited about the conference.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes, yes.
Definitely looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it. Another thing that we have coming up. So myself and the fit pastor, Mike Patton, we're going to be on an upcoming stage play. It's called It's Not Ministry, It's Competition. So if you didn't see the show last week, you need to go in through the replay. We actually had the director and producer, Booker Fleming, on talking about the play and the reason that he created it. It was a good show. We talked about competition among men and how it hinders our growth. And in turn, again, whenever we don't grow as men, we stifle the growth of those around us. And so the things we see in our community, a lot of them are stifled by the fact that men are competing instead of collaborating. And so great conversation there. But more importantly, we want you to get your tickets to the stage play. I just got word today that the first 2 nights are already sold out. So this is July 26th, 27th, and the 28th. To get your tickets, you can go to Booker T. Fleming on Facebook. All the information that you need will be right there. Also, on July 27th, we will be at Empowerment Temple. Reverend Terry Bradshaw has a mental health event. It's called Removal of the Mask Superhero Syndrome. That's going to be July 27th. Brother Barnes, can you tell us about that? I know you attend that church. Can you give us a little more information, please?
Absolutely. It's going to be a very, very, very powerful conference. A lot of times we walk around with masks on. We wear a lot of different masks and we try to be a superhero. We wear the mask of being the best dad we can be, the best mother, the best father, trying to build a business, trying to really juggle so many things in life. And sometimes we have to realize that we are not the superhero. At the end of the day, we have to let down our cape, take off our mask, and learn to just roll with life in a way that it's not so stressful. So I'm super excited about removing the mask, removing the cape. You are not the superhero.
Tell them how they can register RSVP.
Absolutely. You can register on Eventbrite. We're going to put that in the link. I'll definitely have that in the link. The tickets are $30 per person. Look, I'm telling you, it's going to be the best $30 you invested in your mental health this year. You do not want to miss out on this. I'm trying to tell you, and the seats are limited. We don't have a lot of space for a lot of people right now. So you need to get your tickets immediately.
Immediately. All right. All right. Thank you for that, brother. We appreciate it. So as you can see, Elevating Men is moving. We're not just talking, we are moving. There's a lot of things that we're doing offline. And so make sure that you tap in, follow us on Facebook, and again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, for today's conversation, we always like to have images. We always like to look up statistics and figures to kind of get our mind going on the conversation. And so I found this interesting picture online. I'll put that up on the screen. As you can see, this artist, she created a painting of a man who is looks like he's taking part in his favorite drug.
Sex.
Wow.
That part. So before we get too deep into the conversation, I'll throw a bunch of things at you. I would like to get all of your takes. Like, what do you see when you look at this image? I'll start with you, Mike. What do you see when you look at this image?
I'm getting high on something that I first got high on, and I want to get my high higher.
Okay.
When a person first snorts or they take a drug, it's a high that's unfathomable for them to now express. It's either good or bad, but when it's on the good side, you're trying to duplicate and replicate that high. So you want to keep getting higher, and sometimes you don't get as high as you want to get, so you keep snorting it, you keep getting it, then it becomes a preference, then it's added on to, then it's more, then it becomes an obsession. The obsession becomes now an addiction.
Laurent, what do you see?
When I first looked at this picture, and I'm looking at it right now, it's I believe it's what a lot of men deal with internally, and it is an addiction. And no one's telling us this addiction is as bad as it really is. This is an addiction that's praised. You're praised for having many women. You're praised for having a lot of women that you sleep with, and you get it's bragging rights. And You're more of a man when you take this drug. And this is the drug that's advertised on TV, and no one's going to jail for this. It's a drug that takes your money if you allow it to. Like any other drug takes your money when you allow it to. It's a drug that a lot of us as men deal with, and I don't think a lot of us talk enough about the negative effects of this drug.
Thank you. Andrew, what do you see?
I see the one thing that is there for me, that I can always ingest, that I can always go to fix me. The one thing, and it's not even a person anymore. It's just a thing. I don't even see her heart. I don't see her mind. I don't see her dreams. I don't see anything about her. All I see is that fix that she is dying to give me, that she is dying to give me.
Before I give my opinion, I want to say hello to Friday Hall, Cerise Hall. She tagged Mount Calvary Missionary Baptist Church. I want to thank them again for allowing me to come in and talk about life insurance and financial literacy, as well as her for inviting me. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Malik, good vibes. He always brings the good vibes. People, every time, every week we see him and he's tagging his friends, he's tagging his family. We appreciate you, brother. Keep tuning in. Thank you so much for coming tonight. And so what I see is a couple things. I'm going to go a little bit off the path. So when we talked about, Mike said getting higher and higher. It gives you that feeling of Superman, right? And so it's almost like you conquered something and it lifts you up. And for a lot of men, they aren't successful in life in other ways. And so that's the easy fix. That's that easy success, the easy win, the quick win. The other thing that I see, and it's something that we'll get into a little bit later, because every man on this panel has a daughter. It appears that the woman enjoys being the drug. And I wonder how she got that way. But we'll tap into that a little bit later. If you're watching, go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comment. What do you see when you see this image, right? And so let's talk about it, fellas. When it comes down to it, it's a natural thing. We all love it. We all enjoy it. We all do it, or we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have children. But when does it turn bad? When does sex become a negative? Anyone want to take that?
So for me, sex becomes a negative when I have it. Sex becomes a negative when I get knee deep in it. Sex becomes a negative when she shows up.
Okay, now wait a minute. That's a different take. So I'm gonna throw something else on the screen here really quick. For those of you that don't know, A.L. Boykin, Dinner and Dialogue, is also an author. And so he wrote a book years ago. This is actually how we met. So I had a radio show on 95.3 FM. Cerise Hall, she had a show as well. I was coming in to do my show. She was finishing up her show. AB, he was there, and he was actually promoting his book. All right, and so we crossed paths. We've been friends ever since. But when you say what you just said there, whenever you have it, it's a negative. You address that in the book. Can you give us a little more insight, please?
So I'm going to read what I said. Lust is my problem. The lust is not a desire for you. It's not a desire for your body or any other woman. It's a strong desire to release me from my tension. Unfortunately, at this point in my life, I don't even realize nor recognize this lust in me. Hell, at this very confused, frustrated stage of my being, I still resolve these feelings of confusion and frustration the only real way that I always know, and that's always, that I've always known, and that's through stressful expressions, which I consider S and the EX. So that's stressful expressions. So basically, whenever I'm stressed out, whenever I'm not full, whenever I'm not whole, whenever I am not, I go and I snort something that's going to give me that instant. But I know it's just an expression. I know it's just temporary. I know this. She doesn't.
Wow. Wow. That's a different take. Does anybody have a comment relating to that? Mike?
Well, first of all, we must understand this, that the addiction is not just for the man, the addiction is also for the woman. And there would be two sides that I would go, so far as that's concerned, is that we have no fear of the aftermath. Dr. Bernie Davenport outlined, and we'll get to that later, dealing with soul ties. We have to understand that when we talk about soul ties, I'm not necessarily talking to the born again believer or the person that believes in God. It just happens that way because whomever that you've been with, you also have been with the last person that person has been with also, and can take up on those types of characteristics. Now, when I get to the biblical side of this, for this reason, man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife. And God's admonition and commandment is to be fruitful and multiply. But of these trees, if you eat of, you can eat of these. But of this tree you eat, you shall surely die. We have around us a forbidden fruit. And what happened with that forbidden fruit, we are not fearful of now what's going to happen, because as soon as we start doing that, and I am guilty of that, I start dying because now I have lack of emotions. I have lack of now response to how it is to love. Now I have more lust in me than I do love, because now I build a preference because I've had so many. It's not the point that I conquer. What I'm trying to do is trying to satisfy my carnal mind and my flesh, which is an enmity to God's will.
You just said something there. Wow, I don't want to mess this up, but you said that you have this pleasurable situation, but it actually kind of destroys the relationship. It destroys the connection. How was that?
Because my motive operandi is not to have a connection in a relationship. It's to be relatable now, and to find something that you can do to get me on a greater high than I had before, because now I got preferences. And I want to see, can you do out the last one and do out the last one? Did you do that one better? So it becomes a competition, not a relationship.
You know,
I'm related to you how you look on the outside, but I'm also trying to relate how it feels good to be on you on the inside, which momentarily takes away my conditions, my situations, and my issues that have been problematic for the last 10 minutes, hour, 2 or 3 days. Now I can release something.
So again, as Andrew alluded to, that's the expression side of it. You're letting go, you're releasing. I got you. Laurent, what are your thoughts, bro?
I mean, I agree with AB and what Brother Patton said. Really, it comes down to, again, I think releasing stress. I really agree with Brother AB, releasing stress in our bodies. All that comes down to it. But honestly, every one of us are seeking some type of pleasure. Now, there's nothing wrong with pleasure until the pleasure begins to overtake you. When the pleasure becomes a drug, when you need that to boost our ego, to feel that we can't go without it, when it's on our minds so much of the time that we begin to make mistakes, can't think clearly, because we're so caught up in that pleasure. And I think the conversation, again, is really not talked about as much when it comes to, honestly, what is it that we as men really feel about ourselves when we indulge in that pleasure? Like, what does it make us feel like? Like, I would love to hear. I mean, maybe it's getting a little graphic, a little straightforward, but like, what are some of the things that some of our listeners are listening to? What are some of the things that you've heard from other people? What are some of the conversations that are talked about? Because again, I think a lot of times, and I'll just say that I think a lot of times when we do talk about it, when I've heard conversations about it, it was bragging. It's about, I did this. She bad. But
Mhm.
that's what it's about. It's not about, hey, this could be a wife to me. This is someone I can see me having children with. So I think it's more of a macho man status kind of approach.
Brother Ron, can I attack something with you? Dr. Bernie Davenport has a book called The 9 Mysteries of Sexual Soul Ties. And the very one thing that you said that was so prudent and important was, number one, uncontrollable thoughts about the person. A classic sign of a sexual soul tie is having your mind continually occupied with thoughts of the other person. You might find yourself unable to control your focus with memories of them seeking into and seeping into your mind every day. Recollections of experiences, anticipations for future encounters, or simply daydreaming about them can become habitual. The mental preoccupation can impede your daily activities and focus. Fantasies.
Yeah, yeah. There's a stat. I don't know how true it is, but it says that men think about, sex every, 2 or 3 times a minute. Like, it at least crosses your mind, whether it's a lady that walks past or something that you saw earlier or just a feeling that you have. And so it could definitely be a distraction. But when we talk about society at large, like, I just want to look big picture here.
Mhm.
How does promiscuity, uh, how does that affect our culture ultimately?
We overridden with pornea, with pornography. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be on film
How does it affect our children? How does it affect our women?
because they hear it through song,
Mm.
the way we dress.
We got a comment here. Tasha Cruz, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here. She says, I want no parts of the culture. It's nasty and dangerous out there. There's low accountability, high STD rates, and it's increasing. That's 100% true. I was actually reading a statistic that STDs have risen just literally from the pandemic till now, roughly 17% in the United States. It's crazy, crazy. And so there's one part of it where we say that, there's sexual liberation. I hear a lot of women say that, well, I'm sexually liberated now. I do what I want. If I feel it, I do it. If that's what I want to do. It's my body. As men, we've always kind of thought that way. And again, we all have daughters. And so, like, when we think about that conversation, we hear those things. It's like, where are we really headed? Right? You go on your Facebook feed or Instagram or TikTok, whatever social media you use, all you see is sex. That's all you see, right? The way we dress, the way that we dance, all of it has like this sexual nature to it. And not only does it increase rates of STD, I was reading another statistic that it actually increases the risk for our daughters. It puts them in danger because when you have men who are so sexually driven, instances of forced sexual activity is on the rise. All of these things end up happening because that is where our mind is at too much, and it's not attached to, like what you said, LaRon, a fruitful marriage or intent, showing love. It's all about conquering. Even the words that we use to describe it, beat it up, tear it up. It's all animalistic in nature, and so yeah, these things definitely destroys. And then when we look at the children see what we're doing as well. What we used to do was behind closed doors at one point, but now with the internet, they can get on. There's kids getting bullied at school because their mom's on TikTok twerking, and their friends are seeing it, and it's popping up, right? And so there's something wrong. We got to figure it out. Why are we so addicted, Mike? What would you want to say?
Well, two things we may want to look at: role models. If we don't have two parents in the home, and one saying don't and one say do, but we have one not at home because they're trying to make ends meet for the family. Normally it's the mother. Not saying always, but normally. They don't have a guide because now when my daughter goes out, I show in the world hope she don't find nobody that was like me. But I put and instilled enough in her because I was in her life. Many people haven't been in that situation. Then you have those people that have been in their children's life, but in the same sense, they allow them to look and listen to the expletives, the twerking, and all the different things that you see on TikTok, or they have the phone And now the phone is more entertaining and engaging, and them learning that way than they're all having conversations with the parents. So it's the role.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. So look, I don't know what grade you guys had sex ed in, right? But if I remember correctly, I was maybe in like 6th or 7th grade. There was in 4th grade, my kids were bringing me home letters saying, you know, hey, you have to sign this if you don't want them to be a part of it. And so that conversation is happening younger and younger and younger. I remember there was an instance, my kids have iPhones. And so, you know, there's an airdrop mechanism, right? One of the kids ended up airdropping porn to all the kids in the classroom. Right. And so the things that they're seeing at the ages they're seeing them, I just really wonder how that affects their brains long term. It's actually to a point now. So Kansas, this was in today's news. Kansas law will restrict access to adult websites. What does this mean for residents? And so basically what happened was Pornhub, they said that now they have to verify that they're over 18 years old, meaning they want their ID and all of that for them to sign on and be able to log on and see these things. Pornhub said, you know what, we just don't want nobody from the state of Kansas because they're afraid of lawsuits happening from, you know, maybe a child getting their parents' ID or something along those lines. And so it's a real problem, especially when we talk about this internet. Think about TikTok. The U.S. is trying to ban TikTok for one reason they say is because of access to data. But when you actually look at the algorithm behind the scenes, they intentionally put different content in front of the American audience than they do in front of their own audience. If you're in China and you go on TikTok, you are not seeing all the sex, you're not seeing all the debauchery. That's not what you're seeing. It's an educational platform. For America, it's the complete opposite. And here's the crazy part. That's why I feel there's some conspiracy to all of this, right? Andrew and I were talking about this the other day. Actually, Mike and I were too. We both talked about it. So, you know, when you start seeing things on your feed that you don't want to, there's the 3 buttons at the top. You can click it and say, I want to see less of this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that. Well, over time, I feel like I have to do that every 2 to 3 weeks. I'm like, I got to clean up my feed. Next thing I know, it's right back on there. I'm like, I told you I don't want to see this, right? And so they're forcing it down our throats. So my next question is this. Why? What do you think the grand scheme is, right? Because there are conspiracies that have to do with population control. Like they talk about Planned Parenthood and all that. They don't want us having babies. They don't want us to repopulate. But they're pushing us to see and do the exact thing that creates it. So think about that for a second. But does anybody have anything that comes right off the top of their head? What is the conspiracy with this?
So is the conspiracy that they're pushing us, or is it perfect marketing? Because sex sells almost everything. Sex sells a car, sex sells drugs, sex sells education. Hell, sex sells anything but sex. It doesn't have to sell itself anymore, but sex sells. I had wanted to make a point about, oh gosh, I forgot what was said. Keep going, gentlemen. I'll think of it in a minute.
Man, get your pen and your pad. Take notes. You know the conversation moves quick. Laurent.
I want to add to that as far as sex selling. You said, oh, give me a quick second. I just lost my train of thought for a quick second. I got it. Distractions. Honestly, it's whenever something is pushed down your throat, as was mentioned, it's intentional. It's for a reason. It's a movement behind it. And as Brother Boykin was saying, sex does sell, but it's selling you in a way that's keeping you from really paying attention to what's going on around us. Look at what our women are becoming. I'm not saying every woman is like that, but like you said, Andrew, every time we get on the internet, something's always popping up. I do the same thing, less of, but it always comes up some type of way, no matter what. It's a distraction to keep you focused on this thing right here and spend so much time on this thing right here that we are oblivious to what's really going on around us. It distracts us from focusing on our goals. It keeps us in that. Think about it. It's nowadays it's fun to cheat. It's fun to be promiscuous. It's fun to ruin families. It's fun because it's just sex. Some people, not everybody, because there's a lot of people who don't either, but some people mistake sex for love. And that's the wrong thing. So that's why you can see a lot of men manipulating women because I love you. I care about you. I'm showing you attention, but really it's about sex. And then, bye-bye. Because...
Well, I mean, hold on. Andrew, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
LeBron, is that how I'm supposed to? I love you. I'm trying to figure it out, man, because I got to learn those moves after the show, man. God.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Jot this down and put this in your notes. For most women, when a man tells them that they love them, that means legs open very easy.
Whoa.
That's love. Okay, legs open very easy. Oh, he loved me. Oh my God, I can just go anything I want. Understand now, from the very beginning, sex was supposed to be to procreate, not going through a point of masturbation and a fantasy. When I go into the gym, and I took brother Andrew with me, and we saw a plethora of different types of exercises. This is a different way for me to do legs. This is a different way for me to do shoulders. I see all these different ways that now will make me where I am better than I was before. And now I get sensationalized by the new movement. And now I see my body change. When you have a multiplicity of sex partners and you have moments of intimacy, what the situation is not the distraction. You have now on you an agenda, and Satan comes to do three things: to kill, steal, and to destroy. And what does he do? He gives you three things: thoughts, ideas, and suggestions. By the things now that you have now incarcerated yourself into, that becomes almost a type of God to you. You pray more for sex than you do to God and for your daily life.
Now remember my thought.
What's up?
So what is it? Help me finish this. An idle mind is the what?
Devil's workshop.
No, an idle mind is the dick's workshop.
Oh my God!
Which the devil has control, which the penis has control, which he has control of the penis. Because you allow me.
No. The devil.
But that's what the Bible says. For the God of this world has blinded the eyes of them that believe not.
I get it, but what I learned to understand that a woman, the devil, hell, even God ain't got control over my dick.
Oh my God.
Come on over that.
That's blasphemy.
Hey,
that's blasphemy.
Here's the
well, hold on.
That is plain blasphemy.
I learned
that is blasphemy.
Gosh, this dick thing, man, I can use it as my rod to I'm not use it as my staff. What is it? No, I can use it as my rod to chastise women and beat it up. And I can use it as my staff to guide them to my bedroom. Man, I learned a whole lot about my dick. And I didn't learn it in church. I didn't learn it with the devil. I did not learn it I learned it through experience. And I learned how to actually choose when I wanted to listen to God or the devil or my dick. It's nobody's fault but mine.
Hey, listen, there is a point of self-control. There's a point of self-control, and I think that this is one of the areas as men that we completely lose our sense of self-control far too often. There was something that you guys said. I'm gonna pivot just a little bit. So we were talking about women. Yes.
Put up Tasha Cruz's comment real quick.
Right here.
All I wanted to say, the reason I was saying there is a low accountability right there.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody takes account of their own actions. And I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about, those other guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of women, we were there with the women. So, as you said, we have, as men, we have manipulated the situation. We have used sex as a tool. We have made women think that we were in love when really we were in lust. We said all these different things. Now, the tables, I believe, have turned a little bit. You all may disagree, but now women see it as power. And so, when we were talking about, okay, well, that's all we see, literally, they have monetized our activity online. And so, here's the question.
Mm.
Is it because women are taking back their power? They're realizing that, okay, sex does sell. This is a tool that I can use to come up. I can climb the financial ladder. Because there's women that are on OnlyFans and all these different websites that are making more than doctors and lawyers. They don't have to go to university for 4 to 8 years to get a degree to then climb the corporate ladder to make multiple six figures. All they have to do is look good on camera and be willing to do whatever. Right. So is that their fault or is it our fault? Because who's paying them? Who's giving them the clicks? Who's giving them the views? Who's giving them the likes? It's us. And so we talk a lot about accountability, as we, Andrew just pointed out in the last statement. Why are we accountable to what we view, what we click on, what we pay for? We're empowering the situation. If all men were to say, hey, I'm strong, I'm not looking at that. Matter of fact, I'm not giving a woman my attention unless she carries herself a certain way. My question is, do you believe that women's behavior would change if we had more self-control?
I do. I believe women's behavior would change if we had more self-control, because it's the attention that's getting them to do what they do. It's attention. And men, I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but there's different levels of gullibility in different areas. But I would say at the same time, again, it's the attention that we're giving them. And honestly, the truth is, it's never going to change. Men, I mean, to be honest with you, we know this, that men and women were created for each other. There's nothing wrong with the attraction of it. There's nothing wrong with sex. Let's be very clear. But there's an order that keeps us from going through some of the bullcrap that we're going through this day and time with STDs and all the crazy extra having babies that we didn't even want, and broken up homes because we knew we shouldn't have been with that person. We didn't really like her for her mind, or that she was a wife, or that she actually added value to our lives and we could add value to each other's life. No, we got into it because it felt good.
You know what? And here's the thing. This is where the Bible comes in for me. This is where I'm being real. This is where the Bible comes in for me. One, we know that there are laws that we should abide by if we proclaim to be Christians. That's one cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the cylinder of those who do not believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally believe that the Bible actually gives us the way. It teaches us the way, regardless. Because even if you don't believe, say you don't believe, right? You say, well, I'm not a believer. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to do whatever I want to. It's laissez-faire. I am going to touch and do whatever and whoever I want to. Like LaRon, you already mentioned it. There are consequences for those actions. And it's built in. And so when we talk about the broken homes, when we talk about the STDs, when we talk about the broken hearts, when we talk about the animosity between men and women, as we see on social media, all of the conversations are women bashing men bashing women. Where did that come from? It's the emotions that are tied in through sex, right? Women are angry because it's like, I love this dude, and he ran through me, left me high and dry. That was it, right? Man, we're frustrated because no, I conquered her. She's mine. Now she done moved on and then gave it to somebody else. You see what I'm saying? And so there's like this perpetual cycle that goes on where if we actually follow the Bible, whether you're a Christian or not, if you actually follow those teachings and said, you know what, this is for a purpose. It's to create a bond between a husband and wife for a lasting relationship. It's to procreate. If that was the focus, we would have a lot fewer problems, but we're undisciplined.
I would just want to say this. I just want to say one word.
Yes. Go ahead. Finish it up.
Oh, it's principle. At the end of the day, I don't care who it comes from. Principle is principle. I don't care if it comes from the Bible, the Quran, the Buddhism, religion. I don't care what. Principle is principle. And we've seen from what we've been doing the consequences around the world, around our environment. Principle is principle.
One word, Mike, and then I'm going to you. So I want you to make sure you hold your thought. I actually read something today, and it said that you can mark the downfall of a society by, oh my gosh, by basically not having any rules tied to sex. You know, as soon as a culture just says, "Hey, we are sexually free," you can literally put a timer on, and that becomes the downfall of that society.
Powerful, powerful.
Brother Patton.
Well, I do care what you listen to, because the Bible says in 2 Corinthians 6:14, be not unequally yoked with unbelievers. 98% of the people, I could almost say, once they sleep with someone, they have no idea to whom they're laying down with. The Bible talks about fornication, being outside of God's will, sleeping outside of now the will, because now in the Old Testament, he that findeth himself a wife findeth himself a good thing and is in favor with the Lord. But what we do in our carnal mind, we are in favor with ourselves because we don't fear God. And so this whole point about being evenly yoked, you don't know, you haven't spent time with that person when you lay down with them. You've thrown your dress up, or you've rubbed against or asked for phone numbers and gotten out to a situation where this whole intimacy has become an inertia and an epiphany in your mind as to how now it would feel so good to be up against this and up against that. Why? Because you've had a prerequisite. When you've had a prerequisite, that means you have a background, you have a resume, you got some cachet now to go up against. Now it feels so good, as the song should say, to be loved so bad. And so now you don't care. Now, when it's time for your emotions to get in, now you're in a situation you become hurt because he done packed up and left out. They said, ain't no use of going home because Jody got your girl and gone. And so this whole matter that we look at now becomes a tentacle, and it becomes like a spider. And what does a spider do? He finds his way. He tantalizes his way now to get to one place to go. And he doesn't do it fast. He does it slow until he gets caught. Then he goes, because now he's trying to save his life. We are trying to save our lives, but we're not doing it the right way, because now we cannot make abominations saying that God does not have control over our penises. God has control over everything we do. Over everything we say. No different than he did in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah when they were doing all that homosexuality and all the other different type of promiscuity. He wiped them all out. Millions of them, because they disobeyed him.
Now, what I will say,
whatever you read, so that you will soon sow. And if you don't have that fear, it may not come now, but you wait till that change until that day comes.
No, yeah, I agree. And here's the thing. God gives us free will, and so we are subject to the consequences, but he gives us the free will to make those.
We don't talk about the consequences. That's the problem.
And you just did, and we appreciate it. And you just did.
Yeah. Look how I laid down in the bed today, but we don't talk about the judgment.
Right. Okay.
We also don't talk about the accountability and responsibility. You know, women doing this internet thing and using their sex as power and all. Maybe it's not power, and maybe what we were doing to them was not conquering or powerful. Maybe we just think that because it has not given us anything other than what it has given us. We have still not advanced beyond the pains inside of our minds and our hearts. So power, yeah, maybe that's a word just like sex. They both mean nothing, because you asked the question something similar to how did this happen? Well, there's a strong possibility that because men were not accountable, because we learned that we can why buy the cow if we can get the milk for free? Well, we learned to not only think of women as cows, we eventually began to say, hey, I just want that or it, which means we compartmentalized our body.
That's the problem, though. You say, why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free, saying that the milk is the valuable part and the milk is the sex?
But she's not even a woman anymore. She's not even a woman anymore.
But that only happens to weak-minded men like myself. I'm not talking about you. See, I was weak. I fell into that quadri. I fell into that conundrum. because
Why do you
I
think
was
I know?
weak.
How do you think I know the saying? I was right there too.
Well, what I'm saying is that what the Bible tells me, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but a love, joy, peace, and a sound mind. I had to come to the realization that this situation ain't gonna work for me. It didn't work before, so how in the world I'm gonna think it's gonna work now?
Good question.
Okay, so
Yes.
we always try to get to the solution portion. I'm assuming because I'm not on the Elevating Men page, this must be our brother Lauren Jones. He wasn't able to make it today. He asked, "How do we redirect the behavior?" And I'm just going to give my own
Turn your
personal,
burdens over to the Lord and leave them there.
right. So for me, to take my mind off of getting busy, I get busy doing other things, focusing on my purpose, exerting myself at the gym, a whole other host of things. But being busy and being focused is one thing because, again, like you said before, an idle mind is a devil's playground. And yeah, you can only resist temptation for so long. That's why it says, basically stay out of situations that tempt you. You can't keep dwelling in situations that tempt you and expect yourself not to mess up. And so that's what works for me personally.
But the Bible says, be not conformed of the things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind. I try to do that. When I go to the gym, I see sex. When I go to church, I see sex. When I go to Quick Trip, I see sex. I see it all over the place. I got to pray that my mind stays coherent and I don't go to sleep on now a piece of behind or some thick legs and some heels passing by me. And then we see the Jezebels and the harlots even when they come to church, and we get caught up in that. Man, that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing. Just because you go to church don't mean you're going to praise God. I'm going there maybe to give me a hit somebody in the choir stand.
Right.
I like what you said, Andrew, when you talked about how you keep yourself busy. And that's a very good thing, keeping ourselves busy.
Doing
a lot
what?
of people are building our career, building our families, being future focused on the vision that we were given for our own lives. A lot of times we're caught up in distractions because we're not focused. A lot of times we're caught up in distractions because we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan for our relationships. We don't have a plan for our careers, our lives. We have wishful thinking. We have something that we want to happen, but at the same time, a want doesn't get things done. Actions get things done. So really what it comes down to, honestly, how do we get out of that cycle? Surround ourselves with visionaries. It's interesting how, Andrew AB said something one time. He said, at the end of the day, anything that he talks about comes back to the restoration. It comes back to how do we fix the problem? It's through the restoration. It's starting now, building for the future. It's always a talk coming back to that one mission. And I'm saying the same thing. At the end of the day, what it all comes down to is that we don't have a plan. And watch this. Even the ones who do have a plan, when our plan is to get the butt, when our plan is to get the woman, when our plan is to conquer, if we can call it, that's what some people think, they're conquering it, they're getting the baddie or whatever it is. I feel that's what we need, a bigger plan.
So let me ask Mike. Let me ask Mike. Mike.
Yes.
When the garden was created.
Yes.
And then Adam was placed in the garden.
Yes.
Did God give him a responsibility?
Yes.
What was his responsibility?
Till the ground.
To till the ground. What else?
To take dominion.
To take
and
dominion.
then when he brought for it's not good for man to be alone, so he was now looking for things were around him that was compatible. So he says, let us make him a helpmeet. He put him to sleep, now took from him his rib, now made a woman.
So man had purpose.
Yes.
He had purpose for his life.
Yes.
So Andrew had talked about this. LeBron had talked about this. When men don't have a purpose, then we have anything else but that. You said, LeBron, you said something similar to we want to get the butt, we want to get something. Anyway, the key word was get. And you also said prior to that, build. There's a big difference in building and getting. And a lot of men want to acquire. A lot of men want to get. A lot of men want to receive. A lot of men want. And the four-letter word that begins with W is work. A lot of men don't want to work. They don't want the responsibility, or as the lady said earlier, the accountability, to be accountable for what I am responsible for. And what I'm responsible for is my sperm. What I'm responsible for is my sperm. And that means before I even release life, I have dominion over life. Before I put it into motion, what have I built to sustain it, to grow it, and to further it?
Yeah, because it took me to be a grown man in my 30s to realize, like, wait a minute, I'm carrying life before it ever gets inside of a woman. And
Exactly.
so we're always talk. I'm sorry.
Brother Andrew, after you talk, I want to talk to Brother Andrew.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we need to teach our boys. Like, you're actually carrying life. You know, we always put the responsibility off on the woman. Oh, well, she didn't make me wear a condom. Oh, oops. Oh, she's pregnant. Oh, her baby. No, it was your baby before it was her baby. You were carrying it around first. And so when we talk about having a plan and taking action and being focused and that actually being the solution, this is what I mean by that. So before I was A.L. Johnson, before Elevating Men, before any of that, I was a party dude, like for real. Like I party. Listen, I party. I got witnesses. I'm not going to invite them on here though. But what I'm saying is, listen, when I didn't have a plan or a purpose and life was just life, it was about pleasure. It was about having fun. And so on a Tuesday night, a Wednesday night, I don't care what night it was, I did what I felt. Now, the difference is I do what I have to do. And in doing what I have to do, I already have a plan for tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. So I can't be up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning drinking and smacking butt. Like I can't do it. I can't. I got to be up at 6 in the morning. I got to be at the gym at 7. I got to get done with that. I got an appointment at 9. I'm running all day. I'm building something. I'm focused. And so for the men who are out here spreading their seeds recklessly, it's because they don't have a real plan. And if they do have a plan, it's just in the mind. They aren't taking physical action. They don't have their day lined out. They don't have anything important enough to say, wait a minute, I am not going to mess up my night because my night turns into my day. That's the issue. Mike.
Brother Andrew, let's go back to Genesis and the garden. One thing that he had with God is he had a relationship with him. It was not until that serpent that was in the garden was more subtle than any other beast of the field. What's between that woman's legs and in between the bra and how she walks is more subtle sometimes than any other beast of the field. God told him, if you eat of this tree, you shall surely die. But what happens is now that beast comes in, that serpent comes in, and now puts doubt. Is it true if you do eat it, will you really die? So now we have no fear of getting a woman pregnant. We have no fear of STDs. We have no fear of now taking down the very point of the institution of marriage. Now that becomes an ideologue. And so now it becomes our own ideology. What happens in that garden, my brother, it's not the point that he had now something to do. He was doing it with God that was beside him. Now, when you go off in your life and try to do things in your work and God is not in you and you don't have the Holy Spirit for the tearing down of strong, sex is a stronghold. And the only way that you can tear down sex is for the tearing down by the stronghold.
Now, may I interject
your
this?
comfort and which is your help. You can work all you want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's
your body will still conform to an erection. A woman's panani will now still get conformed to being wet by what she sees by her thoughts, ideas, and suggestions. That's the only way I don't have stuff going on. That minutia and mess I did was ridiculously redundant.
Now, I agree. Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
Yeah. However, I think Elevating Men said, what are some of the solutions? And if I keep blaming the devil, even though I have a relationship with God, and I say, even though you're standing right next to me in this garden and you've given me dominion, even over the serpent, but I choose to bite the apple. I cannot blame the devil. I cannot blame her. I cannot blame.
In the points of free will, you can, because now he gives you lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. First of all, brother, you have to understand, how did Satan get into the bowels of the earth in the first place?
God put him
Do
there.
you know that?
But anyway,
Wait. Hold on. We're about to go down. Wait. Pause. Stop.
But
Stop.
what I'm saying is
Stop.
that we
No,
have
stop.
free will choice.
Stop.
Am I true? Is that
Yes, but
right?
listen. We
Yes
don't want to.
Do we have
We
free
don't
will?
want to get off. We don't want to get off into
but
the
do we
wrong.
have free will?
Yes, we got free will. But wait. Y'all both are right. You're both right. So listen, man, because hey, for those of you who have never tuned in to Elevating Men, once you hear the Garden of Eden, just know it's about to go down. And that's just about going back to the beginning. It's about going back to the beginning. But listen, I truly believe at the end of the day, yes, the Bible. I believe at the end of the day, the question is, are there people who do not follow certain doctrines who have success? Because again, the rain falls on the good and the evil alike. A holy man can become rich, an unholy man can become rich. Those things are correct.
But the Bible says, what profit a man to gain the whole world?
No,
what does
that's
he have
not what
to
I'm
in
talking
exchange?
about. That's not what I'm talking about. You're correct. Listen,
correct.
Listen, brother, listen. We got to listen to each other. We got to listen to each other. What I'm saying is, good things happen to good people and bad people. Bad things happen to good people and bad people. Salvation is a whole different ball game, completely different ball game. So I want to stay on focus. I want to stay on track here because this is a good conversation. It's important. The man that doesn't believe in the Bible, but he has a plan and he has something bigger than what's in his pants that he's focused on, is going to make different decisions than somebody who doesn't have a plan, whether they're saved or not. That's just what it is. It's about the plan and it's about focus. Now, salvation's a whole different thing because he can have the plan, he can have focus, he can not have sex with women, he can be a great family man, and he can not have salvation. Both of the things are true. So I'm saying both of you are correct. He's like, I don't want to take it. But I'm just saying, that's what it is. That is what it is. That's what it is. And so there was a sermon that I heard, and it was called The Blame Game. And I'm not saying that you're playing the blame game, Mike. This isn't about you. This is separate. But I'm just saying we do oftentimes play the blame game. We look at the women, they're twerking, they got skimpy clothes on. We say, it's the women's fault. If they would just stop it, I could focus. How about you just close your phone or you close your laptop and get busy, get to work? Right? Yeah. We say that it's the television's fault and it's the media and they're putting all these things in our faces. But you have the choice. You have the choice. The apple is put in front of you. The serpent was a slick talker. You still have the choice. And so we have to really take that accountability. We have to look in the mirror and say, what choices am I making? Not what's put in front of me. What choices am I making?
Mm-hmm. That's why Jesus came. Because he looked beyond our faults and saw our needs, and he came with grace and mercy. And he died on that cross, that if we confess our sins, he's just and he's faithful to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from that mess we caught ourselves in, that whether we take accountability or not, the Bible says every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. And he's King of Kings and he's Lord of Lords.
And you know what, and that's what I love. That's what I love about you and everybody that's listening. This is what you should love about him as well. I'm being dead serious. It's about the dedication to a point of view. He's talking about the Bible, so I'm not saying that's a point of view. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times we waver too easily, right? And when we're not rooted or grounded in any particular belief or rooted or grounded in any particular principles, we sway like the wind. And so when we talk about this conversation about not being able to control ourselves sexually, just like it is for, say, a married man, there's a married man right there, right? You are rooted and grounded in your family and your commitment to your wife. That's what stops you from actually making those moves. Is because you're rooted and grounded in something. And so, Mike, there's nothing wrong with being rooted and grounded in biblical principle. I admire that. I really do, because you don't shake, you don't move. It is what it is, and I love it. I love it.
I love you all.
We love you too, brother. And this is another thing that I want you guys to notice about elevating men. When you come on and you see us, we disagree, but guess what? You see us come back every Monday.
Exactly.
You see us come back every Monday, and we have conversations offline. It is all love between us. But what you see out in the streets is you see a conversation it looked like it's going left. People aren't agreeing, and now we can't come together as a community to uplift all of us as a whole. And so this is what it's about. It's about dialogue. It's about conversation. It's about, not necessarily seeing eye to eye, but understanding other people's point of view and being able to still move forward as a unit. And that's what we do every single week.
This is just conversation. After the camera is turned off, we work with each other. We work for each other. We work.
Look, y'all, I'm saying there's so many different places we go. There is one. Okay, oh my God, we're at our time, but there's one thing I got to touch on real quick. Listen. All right, so we talked about. Mike said something earlier about how we create these soul ties, and we really didn't dig into that. I don't want to go too deep. We just got a little bit of time. But when it comes to having sexual encounters with multiple people, have any of you ever had that become a roadblock in another relationship, or has it dulled your feelings towards women, or like can you share on that? I'll share mine, for example. Like for me, it made it hard for me to really connect with a woman because again, I had too many experiences to compare it to. The lines between love and lust were really thin, like just really blurred. I couldn't tell which was which. Even getting to a point where in this sex culture where women do what they want, men do what they want, trust becomes a big issue, right? So when we listen to our music, I was telling somebody this the other day, you try to have a nice romantic evening, you turn on R&B. Any R&B from like the late 80s to now is about cheating. It's basically, I remember Joe, All the Things Your Man Won't Do, Escape, what was it, You're My Little Secret. And so like there's all these mechanisms that create mistrust between man and woman. And so when we talk about all the animosity, I do believe it comes from having multiple sexual partners, the cheating culture, sex culture, all of that. It creates everything that we're looking at now.
But then you also got to talk about, before I love her, I got to be able to love myself. In the point of me being with her, I did not love myself because I was in a point of depression. Let's get to the heart of the matter, and let's not go over there.
You and me both. You and me both. You and me both.
Period.
It's a coping mechanism. It's a drug. So yeah, depression for sure. Andrew.
So is this backwards?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So elevating men, we are considering having a 5-week session where we're going to read this book is 10 chapters long, and we're going to read 2 chapters a week and have a conversation on a Tuesday night, let's say about 8:30, about this time, starting in August. And anyone who'd like to participate in reading this book, the top 10 reasons why I refuse to say I love you, is very real. It's very real. And some of you may be able to identify. More so, some of the women who read this book may have an opportunity to understand my why.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. For those of you who have not read that book, when I tell you it is raw, I was looking at this dude different after I read that book. I'm like, wait a minute. But it's real though. It's very real. It's very real. Any last thoughts? Any final words on the topic?
So my last thoughts about sex, and I forgot what the topic was, so I'm just going to say sex.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine if we didn't call it sex. Imagine if it was always called procreating or being fruitful, to multiply. Imagine if we did not give a different spin to it, like we give a different spin to love nowadays, like we give a different spin to anything to fit our desire.
Love it, love it. Hey, tell them really quick again. I know you just held up the book. How can they get it if somebody wants to get their copy for the reading that's going to be happening in August? How can they get that?
So the book is available through online, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or you can contact Elevating Men. Leave us your email if you want a PDF of the book, and I give that away for free. So
Can you hold that up again one more time?
say the book.
Yes, please.
It's called The Top 10 Reasons Why I Refuse to Say I Love You. And like I say, it's online. And like I say, I'll give you the PDF for free.
Love it, love it. Appreciate that. Mike Patton, any
Yes, sir.
final thoughts? Yes, sir.
James 1:8 says this: a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Jesus says, choose you this day whom you will serve, man or mammon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tell them a little bit about your business before you go, man. You are one of the best in the business, so brag on yourself for a minute.
Well, I praise God and thank him that he's given me the talent, the opportunity, and education, and now the 4 Ds of my life: desire, discipline, dedication, and determination to keep my body in extreme condition. I love teaching. I love sharing. I love now outlining, changing people's lives that are going north, in which they should now go in a more universal way of getting themselves in shape as relates to the wind, dealing with cardio, aerobics, dealing with anaerobics, dealing with lifting weights, shaping the body, and then most of all with nutrition, so it can now change their metabolism. So my point is to add on to your life, because it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But I want to help you finish in the right way.
Yeah, so he does meal plans, personalized training, group sessions, the whole nine. If you do book a session with Brother Patton, and you mentioned Elevating Men, you get $10 off of your first session just to get you going. And so definitely keep that in mind. If you want to get in shape, you want to get healthy. Again, this is personalized, which is very, very, very important, because we all have different nutritional needs, different activity needs, and he has the resume to back up what he's saying. So definitely consider giving him a call. How can they get in touch with you?
816-916-3503, or go on my webpage at Mike's Main Event Personal Training, PTC, and look me up, and you can see a plethora of before and after pictures that I've done for the last 30 years.
Love it, love it. All right, man, LaRon, the motivator, what you got for us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's LaRon, the motivator. Look, I am a motivational speaker, life coach, and personal development coach for the ones who have not heard. And look, it's time to get over your doubts, fears, limiting beliefs so you can step into your greatness. What has been keeping you from moving? No more excuses. Get up. It's time for you to get up. It's your time to shine. If you're ready to shine, if you're ready to go ahead and put in the work, we need to connect. Reach out to me for mentorship and personal development so you can step out of your fears and step into your greatness. You can connect with me on Facebook at LaRon the Motivator. Also on Instagram, LaRon the Motivator 2.0. And you can connect with me on my website, LaRonDBarnes.com, and book a session. Look, I love you all. I can't wait until we work together.
Love it, love it. And when I'm not elevating men, I sell life insurance. I help families protect themselves against unforeseen events. And so if you want to leave your family a legacy, a financial legacy, go to aljohnsonlifeinsurance.com. But listen, we're going to be back again next week. This is what we do every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. So I want you to go ahead and mark your calendar because I don't want you to miss the next conversation. It's going to be great. Also, the conversation doesn't stop here. And so make sure that you go back through the replay, go to work, Talk to your friends about it. There's a whole lot of things that you could pull out of this, but we have to continue the conversation on because this is a big part of our lives. It's a big part of our culture. It affects everything from our women, our children, our own mental health. And so let's make sure that we continue this conversation on. We appreciate each and every one of you. Again, don't forget about the Elevating Men Men's Conference. It's coming July 13th. It's going to be at the Oasis Church. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. So it's in the morning. We're going to serve you free breakfast. There's going to be health screenings. We're talking about financial literacy. You also can talk to a therapist, which is extremely important. And one of the main functions of Elevating Men is that we are looking to subsidize the cost of therapy for the men who need it. Also, we've got a guest speaker, Dr. Ryan Harvey. He is a dynamic, impactful speaker. You're definitely going to get something from him. The RSVP, go ahead and inbox the Elevating Men page. Just let us know how many people are coming with you because you don't want to come alone. Come as a group. It's 100% free of charge. And so we appreciate each and every one of you, all of you that were in the comments. Keep commenting. We'll be in the comments over the next couple of days having a conversation with you. Love and appreciate you so much. Also, don't forget about the new hit gospel stage play coming up soon. It's not ministry, it's competition. It's going to be July 26th through the 28th. It is almost sold out. We have 3 days of shows almost sold out a month in advance. And so this is going to be awesome. Don't want you to miss it. It's not ministry, it's competition. You can go to Booker T. Fleming on Facebook. All the information is right there for you. You can see the trailers that have been produced. They are amazing, very high quality. And so we don't want you to miss that either. But for all of you that tuned in, again, we love you. Thank you so much. And we are out of here. See you next week.